All right, everyone. Nicolas Maduro has come out and said, well, we have proof of a plot taking place in Colombia. They're training anti-Maduro militias. They're going to try to kill off Maduro and take over the country of Venezuela for the evil puppet slime regime, as, socialist propagandists would put it, or something. The Great Satan, something along those lines. Why do I get the feeling that this is going to be another one of those claims for which evidence is never actually provided? It never actually happens. This has happened before. I think Maduro himself has predicted such plots. The idea is if you've got a ruling regime, what you do is you proclaim the inevitable demise of your own regime due to some back room machinery going on. And you're trying to dissuade people from actually knocking you off for fear of causing more chaos, because then people will see it as a conspiracy. The idea is that even if you do get to, get shot or get ousted or something, people will then accept that as being the explanation, the one you've already planted in their minds as an idea. This isn't just, socialist regimes that do this. Any tin horn dictator around the world under any economic system can foment a similar plan. There are cases where I've noticed that content creators have done similar things. Who was it? What's his name there? McAfee or whatever. The one that, lives a very lavish lifestyle and was taking shots of Epstein's Island and shit, among other things, I think. I think wasn't it confirmed that he was taking shots of the island with a drone or something? I don't know. I didn't keep up to date with that story, but I mean, he's predicted multiple times, well, the CIA is watching me, they're going to kill me at some point. And the reason why is you're trying to dissuade those groups from actively attempting to do anything by getting people's eyes fixated on you, number one, and number two, on that claim. So if you think that someone's out to get you, you just name them very publicly, basically, and it makes it less likely that they're going to do shit because they're afraid of maybe that investigation. On either that, or they have to prepare more elaborately. They have to make sure things go off without a hitch. Marilyn Monroe style or JFK style, I suppose. Maduro's getting paranoid, though. I think part of him does believe there are plots brewing, but here's the thing, the U.S. has already given him an offer, and this is, the best we can do. The U.S. has offered, hey, we'll give you amnesty. If you step down and leave, we're not even going to bother prosecuting you. Just fucking go. The U.S. only reluctantly allows that sort of thing. It's actually funny that that offer was apparently officially made to the Maduro regime. Just leave. Basically, we want our puppet socialist in instead of you being, Russia's bitch, which is what's happening. Guaido is still a socialist, so he'd still mismanage the country. It would just allow the U.S. to basically gobble up oil reserves. That's basically what it would boil down to. I hate to sound like a liberal here, but that is basically what it appears to be. It's the U.S. gambit to knock one dictator, tin horn socialist out, replace it with a dictator, tin horn socialist that simply is more loyal to Western interests, and at the very least will allow U.S. firms to go in and exploit people a little bit more. Now, of course, long-term being exploited by the U.S. is a better way to get wealthy than getting exploited by the Russians, because we've actually got the money to be able to invest in local improvements. Russia doesn't have that shit. China at this point is having problems. China's having problems with some of its vassals, like those Nicaraguan farmers got real pissed about the idea of an ill-fated Nicaragua canal that looks like it won't be built now. Much like I predicted fucking 5 years ago, I think it was, when I started hearing about this stupid shit from people who thought, the U.S. era is ending, China's the new power. They're going to build a canal to rival the Panama Canal and control all trans-American trade. It's never going to happen. China didn't want the fucking canal. The farmers rose up, won't even let them build it. No, what they wanted was a military base. They wanted a base near the Panama Canal that happens not to be in Panama. Why do you think the U.S. is so concerned with what's happening in Nicaragua, of all places? We don't give a fucking shit. Nobody in Washington, D.C. worries about being invaded by Nicaragua, but it would be nice to kick the Chinese base back off of the continent, wouldn't it? It's basically what it boils down to. Nicaragua Canal. Yes, they're going to build a less efficient, smaller version of the Panama Canal that, by the way, is just being massively expanded as we speak and massively overhauled and improved, so that its output will, I can't remember exactly what percentile increase there will be. It's a massive increase in shipping capabilities because more shipping needs to go through. We've already taken care of the situation. There's literally no reason for another canal other than, hey, you happen to be a country that doesn't like the United States and you happen to want to save a few pennies by going with the Chinese canal. It's never going to be built. China's having problems with some of its African vassals, some of its political allies there on the ropes, getting kicked out by parties that are springing up and literally winning elections based on one promise, which is we'll stop taking Chinese money and kick their factories back out and go back to the way things were before colonialism. The new colonialism is communistic. It's very, very funny. China and Russian diaspora, arguably, working with them through BRICS, getting bankrolled by the Chinese, as it were, and then backed by Russian weaponry. The new imperialism's coming from the Eastern Bloc, dude. As far as Maduro, nobody really cares. Like, the U.S. would let him stay in there forever, too, if he was playing nice. This is the U.S. MO. Let's, be entirely honest. The U.S. engages in such offensive actions on a regular basis. In the case of Venezuela, though, there are some justifications. Let me lay them out. The economy's already gone. There's no economy. The oil's there, but nobody's even really pumping it anymore, so any form of development benefits the Venezuelans. And that's really the big number 3 is the misery of Venezuelans in general. Somebody recently sent me some Venezuelan currency. And I can't remember the denomination of the notes, but I have no doubt that if I took it to Venezuela, I'd be able to buy a beer or a loaf of bread. That's probably, what the currency is worth. It might not even be enough for that. It's very interesting, by the way. Thank you to that individual who sent me the Venezuelan currency. I really did. I've been wanting to collect it for a long time. That and North Korean currency are pretty hard to get a hold of. I wonder if anyone has access to Turkmen currency. In Turkmenistan, I know they've got the little green book of sayings and shit like that, and it's sort of cultic. Do their dear leaders' images on the coins and shit mean you can't even take those out of the country? Because I know in North Korea you're not allowed to export the currency. Foreigners can't even touch most of their money because it has Kim's face on it, and so it would be considered a form of sacrilege, I guess, because you're not a North Korean. I guess you get thrown in the gulag. You end up like that kid who got brain damage and turned into a vegetable and died while in North... I can't remember his name, the one that tried to rip a communist propaganda poster off the wall like a total moron and then thought there'd be no fucking repercussions to it. It was excessive, but I mean, come on, you're in this tin horn country. You'd best conform to the fact that everything's arbitrary, makes no sense, and you'll get beaten for the slightest infraction, and that's if you're lucky. Poor Maduro. He's getting to that end stage of socialism where the leader gets more and more frenetic and paranoid. And there always is some kernel of truth to why they're paranoid. Because the U.S. has surrounded him. I mean, Russia can't bail him out. The Chinese forgave his debt years ago. Now they're saying they can't do that anymore. Europe has backed off. Venezuela has no allies. So what's the next best thing? The last resort that he has is to blame Colombia and a big U.S. plot to oust him. That way, if his own people decide to just hang him in the streets, they'll just assume that they're foreign agents, like CIA and stuff. And helpfully, there will be people including arguably the InfoWars crowd, that'll promulgate such an idea. It'd be funny. He gets organically ousted, and people still think it's Western interventionism. I think that he should be replaced by capitalism. Unfortunately, the U.S. wants more socialism. It's funny to see the Trump admin trying to install one socialist to replace another. Juan Guaido. He's not far right. Maduro casts him off as an evil capitalist stooge. He's not a capitalist. He's even more far left than Maduro in some ways. It's just another fucking socialist. It's another generic leftist. That's about all. Peace out.